it worked. Yay, we're online and live. Julie Svedberg, welcome to Empower Network TV.
Hello, everyone. It is great to be here with Amos today. I'm so grateful to be here, and I'm so excited to be here.
Julie and I were just talking about the movie Limitless with Bradley Cooper. What did you love about that movie?
All right, so here's what I love how you just leap straight into it. One of the things that I absolutely loved about that movie, and at the time, I was not in limitless potential. I wasn't even utilizing even 1% of my potential at that time. But it opened the doorway for me when I was watching that movie of how he could literally write a whole book in 10 hours. And like he just would take this supplement and then his brain would activate, and then he would see all the potential, unlimited possibilities of everything he could do as a business owner and as a potential. And that part of the movie was like, wow, you actually can go there. You have to get into the States right now. And I literally learned how to do that. So, and I think if you're open to unlimited potential and unlimited possibilities, that's the most innovative entrepreneurs on planet Earth right now that are billionaires. So that's literally what they do. It's unlimited potential, and they know how to tap into it, and they know how to find the ideas. They know how to innovate. They know how to adapt. They know how to move around. And that's why if you really want to become like a multimillionaire or billionaire, or you want to have that kind of level of impact on Earth, it's starting with your mindset, right? And it's starting with breaking the mindset and breaking the molds that you have so that you can tap into that, so that you can be innovative, so that you can move the way you need to move as a business owner. So I think that's kind of how I saw that movie, and then how I see it now. Yeah.
Okay, well, this is a great way to kick off. I was just telling you, season 4, episode 1. So we completed 300 episodes this year of interviews, and you are season 4, episode 1, 301st. So let's go into your story. How did you learn this? What is the story that brought you to this? You've had this stuff happen. How did you get expanded, please, to this state?
I love it. I love it. So it basically, I've actually always had gifts since I was a kid. And then, I turned them off. And, when you're growing up, your parents tell you, this is how you need to live, get a job, do X, Y, Z. My parents are actually business owners. So the challenge with that, though, is they like small businesses. And this is the sticky point, is you can get stuck being attached to small business. And the challenge with that is they created jobs for themselves. That's the truth. And I learned how to be an entrepreneur. I actually would go to trade shows at boating events. They would sell boating equipment. So I would go to trade shows. I learned how to sell on the floor, 10-hour days of selling products and learning how to talk with people. So by the age of 12, I was already doing sales. So I was already learning how to answer phones. I was doing computer stuff. I was out there on the floor. And then as I grew older, I was telling my parents, dude, I want to do martial arts. I want to do tournaments. I want to do all this crazy stuff. I already had these crazy ideas, and they're no, don't do that. So I moved into personal training. I'm all right, this is the next best step, is to become a personal trainer, get really good at working out, and then teach other people how to do that. Because by the time, whenever I learn something, what happens for me is I learned something and then I start teaching it. People start asking me for help. I'm like, oh yeah, you could do this, 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 this. It's just the way I operate is just things just come through, especially when someone really needs the help and I have the skill base to do that. So with personal training, I just got really, 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 really good at what I did. And I would just bring people on board, show them how to work out, show them how to build muscle. And in that whole process, I was working on my mindset. I realized how important mindset was with martial arts, with literally sparring with other people. You had to learn how to remove your own sense of fear and conflict during sparring, and literally get over yourself with sparring and martial arts. And so started learning how to meditate and how to change my state of being. And then as I was doing personal training, I started asking these people questions okay, why is the reason why, we've given you the workouts, we've given you the routines. What is it that's really causing you to not change the weight? And it was stress. It was cortisol. It was like working 14-hour days at home at their job or whatever, and then like literally not taking care of themselves, right? And so that's when I really shifted from like personal training into mindset work, into like actually helping people with themselves and getting out of their own way so that they actually would get the results in the gym. And so my whole training model completely changed. So by the time I was training people how to do the muscle workouts, they already knew how to do the workouts. All I did during the session was mindset work. Literally like, what are you not seeing? What are you not doing? And how are you gonna, how are we gonna actually become a better person? Like, what is it that's holding you back? And how do we shift that? And so every session of personal training became mindset and coaching, literally, like literally it literally became the same thing. And from that place, I started doing life coaching online. I was like, I don't want to do I don't want to do like 50-hour weeks being in the gym the entire time and then taking like 20-minute breaks to have a snack in between. Like, that's not my ideal lifestyle. And I knew that if I wanted to get out of that lifestyle, I would need to train maybe 15 or 20 different personal trainers. I would need to start my own gym. And it just was like, it just didn't have the freedom that I really wanted.
Yeah,
And
let's
so,
talk about freedom. Let's go to freedom.
yeah.
What is it? What does it mean to you?
So I have a very interesting diagnosis of freedom, because I think you can be, I've talked to multimillionaires that are literally soul unfulfilled, literally do not feel free. Tons of money, do not feel free. Can take vacation, do not feel free. And so for me, internal freedom is what will replicate outside. So if you have an internal state of being that's super peaceful and you understand who you are and you feel free on the inside and you feel limitless on the inside, it's only natural that you're going to gravitate towards the things that are right for you in your outer environment. And I think it starts from inside, like literally.
Can we
Like,
talk
I don't
about,
think, yeah, go ahead.
I just want to ask you, because there's a lot of people that don't feel free on the inside. And then they see a movie like Limitless, or they hear certain testimonials, interviews. How does a person break out of that, Julie?
I love it. I love it. So for me, it started with the body, because the mind body is super connected. So I learned how to cleanse the body. Literally, you get rid of all the stuff. So I actually learned like Ayurvedic cleanses. I did detox programs for a while online. That's like, I did life coaching and detox. Like, that's literally what I did online for a while. And you literally cleanse the body out. But more importantly than that, and I also would do nootropics. If you guys have never heard of nootropics, it's actually a neurogenesis supplement. The one I use is called Newtopia. That literally was my limitless pill for me in real life. Literally.
That sounds amazing.
It's incredible. I would say the biggest factor though is the people around you. Because let's say, and I've seen this, you have these highs and these lows. If you go to an event, if you go to GrowthCon, if you go to like 10X events, or you go to in-person events, you get this crazy high. And then you feel like you're on top of the level, like anything in your world is possible. Like you're completely limitless. Like you feel this incredible sensation, like, okay, I know what I need to do with my business. Oh my God, we can totally make these sales. Like we can totally scale this. Like this is so doable. I know what I need to do with my teams. I know what I need to do with all these things. And then they get back to their business. They get out of the environment that created those state of being, and they can't get back into that state of being because the people around them are literally pulling them down.
I used to think people doing that, it's, over and, and I would label it. They're wicked, they're bad, they're this, but I don't know that people really know always what they're doing. I don't think I always know what I'm doing.
It's very, very unconscious. Because imagine if you're just used to a certain level of operate, it's literally like you're just used to operating at 1x. And someone comes around with 5x and they're like, hey, like, come slow down with me. And it's very tempting.
Come slow down with we can play in the slow box.
But I mean, like, that's the reality, because it's like, let's say you're running a business, you have 2 or 3 employees, maybe you have a few VAs, and then you have your family life, right? And so the challenge is getting your family life and your employees and everyone on the same page doing what you need to do in your business, being the leader you need to be as in your business, but also, all right, let's look at these other sections just in case there's something that's bleeding over into your business, right?
Hey, let's go to daily routines if we can. What are your daily
Absolutely.
routines? What do you do? Julie, what do you not do?
All right, so here's what I don't do. I don't scroll Facebook for hours on end. I have a timer. I actually turn off my news feed for social media. I turn off all my notifications until I'm ready to work. So the number one thing I do is I choose when I work and I choose when I interact with people. That means that my phone's not going off the hook. My messenger's not going off the hook. Things aren't going off the hook in my life. I choose when I'm going to act. I do not react. And it's not always possible, but that's something that I focus on and train on a daily basis, is to choose to act rather than to react. And most business owners and people that I've worked with operate from a state of reaction. And when you're in reaction, you're in an emotional state. When you're a super high emotional state, you don't make the best choices in that moment.
So you're the Lord of your life. You're not letting your business be the Lord of your life.
Correct. I would say I do nootropics. I do like supplements. I work out every day. I get up early. And I also write out my task list. So I'll write out exactly what I want to do for the day, what I want to complete. And then for me, some people work really well with like time blocks, where they literally have their calendar full of time blocks. For me, I'm more of an action taker. I'm like, okay, I'm getting this project done today. Like I'm doing these things and then I have this call at this time. So I schedule by tasks.
All right. So top, can we go to, if a person is hungry, really hungry to wake up, they know they're not, and you're speaking to me here too. They know there's more and they're trying to shake the world off. They're trying to shake the matrix off, but it's not falling off them. And
It's not falling off.
Yeah, there's things they're doing that they are or aren't aware of that are causing them to stay stuck in it. What do they do? Yeah, top 3 things they could do to just get the hell out of the matrix or begin the process of waking up.
Begin the process. And let's assume that they're working how many hours in their business a day?
I don't know. And how would you quantify work? Some people say they're working 50, but they're on they're 50 hours, but they're always feeding their dog or scrolling, or is that work? I don't know if that's work. What do you call that?
That is what do I call that? Yeah, that's kind of meandering. Yeah, it's not having an action plan, that's for sure. So here's how I quantify work. And this is on the spiritual awakening term, because let's say, for example, you're interacting with people on social media, but you're not in yourself. You're not with yourself.
What does that mean? Please define not with yourself.
So when you're not with yourself, you're literally in other people's energy fields and other people's mental clutter. How do you assume to get out of the matrix if you're constantly in other people's matrices?
Okay, we're going here. All right. So can you break that down a bit more?
Absolutely. So if we're breaking it down a bit more, every person has a mind construct. Every person has a belief system. Every person has a mind set. And
I lost you for a second, Julie. Are you still there? Hey, everyone, just hold on a sec. We're going to get her back. She's there. It's probably just my internet connection here. Oh, the anticipation is driving me crazy. I want to hear what she has to say. Julie, if you're there, just hold on. I'm not sure what's going on. Start again from please, the biggest block.
The biggest block for the identity, or before that?
Yeah, back up from where you want. I apologize. The whole thing that
All good.
It got threw me off of
Hey,
it.
it's all divine. So the biggest block is your subconscious being a sponge. And so you have to realize your greatest weakness can also be your greatest strength. So if humans' greatest weakness is being the sponge and absorbing everything around them, and then that creates their microbiome of their mindset, their mental state, then all you need to do is change what you're absorbing, right? All you need to do is turn off your news feed. All you need to do is literally cut out everything that you're absorbing in your life that's polluting your mindset,
Let's talk
polluting
about
your
pollution.
subconscious.
Because how do we know what pollution is? How do we know what pollution is not?
I like this. I like this is going really well. It's great. So this is where things can be a little bit interesting. If you set standards for yourself, you'll start to understand what pollution is for you. If you don't have standards for yourself, it's going to be very difficult to determine what pollution is. So if you have been working on your money mindset, and let's say that your standard is now believing in infinite possibilities and abundance of money. You've created that standard, you've chosen that you're going to move in that direction with your mental state. Pollution of that standard would be anyone that's talking about like the opposite of abundance. So technically, anyone that's talking about the opposite of abundance, not leading towards abundance. For example, you can talk about people having trouble with money and moving into a different state, right? But that's not necessarily pollution. That's them talking about moving through a state, right? But if someone's literally talking about how they don't have any money, that is polluted. That's pollution. That's what I would consider pollution. But without setting the standard from which you want to actually move from, you won't know what pollution is.
Pollution is the contamination of any area or state or substance that claims to want to be unpolluted.
Yep. Yep.
So is it kind of like when someone comes and says, hey, not to gossip, Julie, but, and then I go ahead and gossip to you?
That's pollution, right? And so maybe one of my standards that I live by is absolutely no gossip. I don't do gossip. I don't listen to gossip. And so when someone comes to me with gossip, I say no. If someone gossips on their feed about something or someone else, they're gone, because that's my standard, right? And that's how. But if I didn't have that standard about gossip, maybe a few years ago, I wouldn't have recognized it as gossip, right?
All right. So what is the potential we could, as you see it, as best you see it, what is possible, Julie?
Oh God. You want to go there? All right. I think that I see a lot of potentials. I see a lot of possibilities with the human race. I think the major thing is we have people in different phases of wealth and internal and external freedom, right? And so I think that the major hurdle that we have to overcome is literally helping people become internally and externally free. And that's huge, right? That's a huge thing to overcome in humanity. And so I see like creating renewable, sustainable energy where we literally don't need to use power plants anymore, where we've literally created like free energy. There's already free energy systems in place that have already been built. It just needs to be mass produced. Got to talk to people that are already connected with this resource and the systems. So there's a lot of technology that literally just needs to be released and actually publicized. There's actually a lot of limitless stuff that's already out there that literally just needs to come to the public's eye. And in terms of collaboration, I actually see that the more that we learn how to collaborate rather than survive, and the more we learn how to thrive rather than survive, we're going to create more communities and networks of people helping people helping people. And we're going to have money start like actually being a circulatory function and a circulatory in people's minds. And that change is going to change the wealth. It's going to change how society runs. But most of the time, in order for people at different levels to accept a new belief system, it's the people at top that have to shift, right? It's the people up top that have to give the new codes or the new systems, right? And so I think that it comes down to partnering with multimillionaires and billionaires and creating public projects to help with that ladder system, because before it's never, there was no ladder. There hasn't really been a ladder system for people to move out of where they're at because of the school systems and the systems in place. So I think the major possibility for humanity is creating mass funded public projects for different things. So if it's free energy, if it's for creating communities, if it's for building new technology that allows people to literally be free, it starts with partnering with people and millions of people. So there's partnering with people that already have the investments, that already are able to invest, right? And then it's partnering with like crowdfunding to get some of these projects off the ground. But obviously it starts with us being able to take care of us financially, freedom, being able to grow our businesses and become limitless on the inside, and be able to, because otherwise we won't see the opportunities when they present themselves for us to be a part of something bigger.
It's a hard reality to accept sometimes when you, I know this person, when you start waking up to the fact that there could be abundance all around me at any time that I could potentially tap into if I'd have the eyes to see it. But I have this free agency thing. I get to look at things the way I want to see them. And the way I look at them determines the way I experience them, which determines my reality. And no one comes and saves me from that. So it's like, you could be saying all of this, Julie, but if someone doesn't have the ears to hear it, they're not gonna pick up on anything you're saying.
Absolutely. And that's the challenge. That's the challenge. And like, how do you pick up on, because and I actually have been at this spot myself. Like, I read the Power of Now book 3 times, and I felt it for brief moments in time, and I couldn't hold it. I couldn't hold it. I couldn't hold it. I couldn't hold the belief. The pollution that I had in my mind and my body was so much that I only had brief moments of clarity, brief moments of inspiration, brief moments of these beliefs of this abundance that we can tap into. And I love what you said about, I love the way you use those words about being able to interpret your reality, right? And then from the way that you interpret, from the way that you see it, like no one's going to come save you from that, right? And I love that, because that's the potent truth. And for getting started, for moving from unawareness to awareness, it's writing a list. What am I settling for currently in my life? What is it that I truly want from my business and myself in my life? And then what do I need to abstain from? What do I need to get rid of in order to get the things in order to move into the place that I want to be? And so maybe it's like, for example, maybe it's cutting TV out completely. Maybe it's cutting hobbies or things that don't serve you out completely. The moment that you get rid of all the garbage, the moment that you start working from like abstinence and actually cutting the things out and then adding things back in, that's when you're going to really notice how much that affected your mental state.
Just like when you do a fast, you get off food, and then you come back, you start seeing what when I've done that, it's like, oh, wow, that really affects my body. When you go from abstinence to something, you feel the effects. Okay, so when did you come to realization that we're all little gods? Because that's what we are. To me, we're, and I follow Christ, and even Christ talks about that, like small g, little gods. I'm not the big man or man/woman, both sexes, I guess, that made all this, but I believe that I am. I'm the Lord of my life. I have to be. And everything I desire, I create. Good, whether I hate it or love it, I create it. It's all on my ass. I'm responsible. So when did you come to realize that you are literally the creator of your own life?
I think it came from realizing how I created mess and disaster and chaos out of nothing. I think, yeah, for me, it was, for one, recognizing that I was the light, because I actually I was raised Christian, right? Recognizing that I was a light and recognizing that I was made in God's image, like, and then realizing, well, then if I'm made in God's image, that means that it's not just the image itself, it's actually, we have these gifts, right? But what I started to realize that we really create our reality was when, say, for example, I don't know, maybe it was like teenage years, like let's say you have an interaction with someone and you create a story. And then you act as if that story is true, only to find out that that story wasn't actually true. And all the actions you literally created, you created the mess. And that's when I realized, like, dang, all right, like what I think isn't actually true.
Okay, so then
So
how do you approach your current narrative? Because aren't you constantly, I'm asking you because this is my current reality. Aren't you every week finding out something new you were wrong about last week? And now you find,
absolutely.
okay, so then how do you deal with the tension, the polarity, the diametrically opposed? It's like, how do you go, this is my present understanding of truth, and yet I know damn well next week I'm going to find out something else that my head's up my ass about. This is my own verbiage. And so it's like when people are like, they always say, honor your truth, honor your, I don't know truth. I'm on the process to learning truth. So what is truth? Because we're always
Ooh.
changing unless you're full of shit and you just think you've already arrived, and then you can't be taught by anyone then if you think you've arrived.
Oh, I love this. This is such a good topic. So the way that I escape the matrices of the mind is in being. Because if you just like relax in your body and you just take these deep breaths and you just drop into your energy, like you drop into who you, like you just drop into, like you literally just become the moment. It allows you to just like disassociate. And then you're like, you know what? All right. So that's playing that pattern. That's playing that pattern. And I think for me, and this is my experience, real truth comes from like the heart area. Like when you're tapped into your heart and you're like centered in your heart, when you talk with someone from that place, like truth starts to flow through you. I don't know. Have you noticed that for yourself?
When I give up all judgments and I give up, as Richard Lasseter would say, I give up my likes and dislikes, as in I
Yes.
demand something show up the way I want and I reject it if it doesn't show up the way I want. When I accept people and things right as they are and let them be them, and I'm okay with it, then I find I'm in that place you're saying.
The truth. Yeah. That is exactly what it is. It is a state of being where you've literally let go of all the, you've gone back to your inertia state. You've gone back to the state of infinite being, of being one with the creator, being one. Because like when you think about it, if past, present, and if past and future are just, well, what's the most alive, what's actually alive is right now, right? And where does God lives in the moment. I truly believe that God lives in the moment. And so the more that you're connected with the moment and with the now, the more you're connected with the truth. Yeah.
Have you ever read Parallel Universes of Self?
I have not.
Oh my gosh, that book talks about, it's rocking my world. It's right up there with psycho-cybernetics, apparently.
Mhm.
My buddy two of my friends recommend that. And Parallel Universes of Self talks about that, talks about it just I can't get past chapter 5 or 6, whatever it is. It's on autoplay. I listen to it 5 days a week. I can't even get past it. It's talking about all this. It's going, the future and the past aren't even real. And the way we remember the past is not real, because to what you said, when you go back and find out that 30 years ago, when you remembered a certain thing, you find out that something you thought was real wasn't real. And then all the decisions you made as a result of that false piece of, so it's like your whole past changes, not just my perception of the past, because that is instantly changed. Even the way I relate to the past, my emotional responses instantly changes. So the past kind of changes. So
It's transmutable.
what do you mean by that?
So transmute means to shift from one thing into another, right? You can literally transmute your future by transmuting your past. So, all right, like a great example was I was doing, it was supposed to be just a simple mindset call the other day. But what ended up happening is we ended up realizing that there was a mindset program that was created at 13 to 14 years old. And basically, you can bring that version of that person's self to the forefront of the now, and then you can transmute it. And then what happens from actually doing that timeline work, like say, for example, there's a 5-year-old version of yourself that's having a trouble with something, and that's like always played through your mind, right? So you bring that version of yourself right now, and then you start talking to the 5-year-old version of yourself as if it's real in the now. And then you start noticing that your connection with your past starts to change, and then your future changes.
I just did this with Mark Chabas, 2 integration sessions I hired him for. One was for when I was 10, one was for when I was 16. I had some traumatic, and I mean traumatic because I realized that was the judgment I had about that was the story I told myself about it, because it was traumatic until I changed it, and now it's no longer traumatic, which is really weird for people that have been through like really what the world would call, oh, that's horrible. I'm so sad that you're whatever blank happened. It's like, that's still a story. The whole thing is a story.
Yeah.
All right. So where do people go? Where would you point them if you're going to be tagged in here, if they want to connect with you? Are they free to connect with you in this, like through Facebook?
Yeah, absolutely. My Facebook profile, great place to connect. I'm always available. So yeah, I run business development and like mindset. So I have, for Superhuman Infinity, I have a combination of literally getting you set up with business systems, with everything you need to run your business, and then mindset and project calls to help you build. And then I also have my one-on-one, which is literally what we just talked about today, like the deep work.
Okay, well, this was a wonderful interview, both parts. And yeah, so we are running our first date networking events. They're called First Date. Version 3 is coming up shortly. I might be on it Thursday. If I am, you're welcome. I can bring guests to that. Other Academy members are going to be running those, but I'll reach out to you about Thursday. But Julie, thank you for being on Empower Network TV today. You certainly wet people's whistle, those that have ears to hear, and it's just beautiful what you've done today. Is my freaking internet connection gone again?
Yeah, when people don't trust themselves, they procrastinate. What are your thoughts on that?
It's hard to trust a place. It's hard to trust a house you don't feel safe in. I know a lot of people don't feel emotionally safe within themselves, because that's something I lived with, is feeling all sorts of feelings, but not feeling at home in my own body, in my own emotions, in my own skin, especially when I'd pick up on others' energy and others' emotions. And then they would take me on journeys. And some of these journeys, I would get confused and go, I don't want to go there. Or after I went on that journey, go, I didn't even want to go there. Why the hell did I go on that journey? And then finding out later that sometimes we're picking up, or I was picking up on other people's emotional states and experiences, misappropriately labeling my own, and going down places that I never, and everyone's wired differently, I'm sure, but so how do you trust a house that you don't feel safe in? That was my big thing. Who doesn't want to feel safe in their own skin? I wanted to feel safe I wanted to feel safe as a kid. I wanted to feel safe as a teen, but I didn't feel safe for a number of reasons. So yeah, how do you learn to keep your own commitments to yourself? And how do you learn self-mastery of a house you don't want to fucking live in?
I love this. This is so good. This is ridiculously good. So first off, let's address the first one, which is not knowing what your own house looks like and what your own temple looks like. Because this is the key to a lot of suffering with empaths and spiritual people, is literally thinking that emotions, thoughts, and feelings are theirs when they're not. And that's what I also call the chameleon effect, where you take on other people's energy and then you act a certain way and you're like, wait, why was I even acting like that? Was that even me? Was that even me? Or was that me playing a play based on the energy in the room? That's what happens when you have too much of other people's energy being associated as yours. So the first step that I started doing for myself is, are these thoughts mine? Are these beliefs mine? Are these emotions mine? And I would literally sit in like meditation, just that doesn't even need to be, you don't need to be in a super meditative state where you're just breathing in. You're just like, you know what, that one's actually not mine. Oh, that one's not mine. Oh, that one's not mine. We have to go through this state of knowing, of figuring out what's not yours and then figuring out what is yours. It's like, okay, I did actually have this trauma and I do actually have this feeling. What I've noticed is feelings of others tend to attach to things that you have within your own body. So for example, if you have insecurities, there is a tendency for other people's insecurities to become attached to your own insecurities. This is kind of rather deep work, but say, for example, you know that you're feeling something that's not yours, that's super related to something super insecure. You can be like, all right, that's not mine. And is there anything on my side? Like, is there any, if I know that's not mine, I know that's on their side, is there anything on my side? And then once you like figure out what's on your side, generally that whole thing goes away. And then the more that you figure out what's on your side, the more you like actually clear the emotions and the patterns on your side, the less it's going to actually, the less it's going to be like this, right? The more it's going to be, you're going to understand yourself more. But it really comes down to who am I and what does it feel like to be in my own energy? And that's why I actually think like taking a weekend, going to a waterfall, going to water, going to the ocean, being around no one, and actually just feeling your own energy. What does it feel like to feel my own energy? A lot of people don't feel, they don't know what their own energy feels like. And so they're not able to distinguish it.
Oh, wow. Wow. Yeah. We do need to wrap. This has been amazing. Thank you for being here. Yeah. Thanks for being on Power Network TV. If you've been listening, watching on Power Network TV, Julie Svedberg, who's helped carry it through today. Well, the powers that be shut it down twice. So this is great.
This was awesome. Thank you so much for having me. And it's so great to connect with your network and Empower TV. And I look forward to whatever's next. Yeah.